Hey everyone, Noir here. Let's get into today's Reddit story.
She told me, "If you don't like it, we can break up." All because I asked about dinner. So I just said, "Okay," and made sure she understood I wasn't joking or trying to call her bluff. I'm Ethan. I'm 30 years old. Madison is 27. We've been together for a little over 2 years and living together for 1. The apartment is mine, the lease, utilities, internet, everything. But somehow, over time, it started feeling like I needed permission to even exist in my own home. This all started because of dinner, or more accurately, because there wasn't any. I got home late from work after a brutal day of nonstop meetings. My brain was completely fried. Madison had been home since the afternoon. So when I walked into the kitchen, I already knew what I was going to find. Nothing. No food cooking. An empty sink. Takeout menus scattered across the counter like she had thought about dinner but never actually planned to do anything. "Hey," I said, calmly. "Did you end up making anything?" She let out a dramatic sigh, like I had asked her to solve some impossible problem. "No, I didn't feel like it." "Okay," I said. "Could you maybe make something? Or we could cook together." That's when she said it. "If you don't like it, we can break up." Just like that. No argument, no emotion, just a threat that felt way too familiar. Maybe she had used it with other people before. Maybe she had used it on me and I had ignored it. I stood there for a second, waiting for her to realize how ridiculous it sounded. She didn't. "What?" she said, annoyed. "I'm not your mom. I'm not here to make you dinner." "I didn't say you were," I replied. "I just asked." "And I answered," she snapped. "If you don't like how I do things, we can break up." That was the moment something clicked. I wasn't angry. I wasn't hurt. I just felt clear-headed. "Okay," I said. Her eyebrows went up. "Okay, what?" "Okay," I repeated. "If that's what you want." She smirked and went back to her phone. Good. Then stop complaining. She thought she had won. She thought I was backing down like I always did. What she didn't realize was that, for the first time, I was actually taking her seriously. And once you do that, you can't pretend you didn't hear what someone said. That night, she acted like nothing happened. That was what really made my decision easier. She ordered Thai food for herself, extra spicy, knowing I didn't like it. She sat on the couch with her feet up, watching reality TV with the volume turned too high. She didn't ask if I wanted anything. She didn't offer to share. She acted like dinner, the thing she said wasn't important, hadn't somehow become a breaking point. I made myself a sandwich and ate it standing at the counter. She looked over and said, "See? Problem solved." I almost laughed. Later, when she went to bed, I stayed on the couch. I sat there in the dark, staring at my phone and replaying her words. "If you don't like it, we can break up." She said it like a threat, but also like a challenge, like she was certain I would never actually accept it. Then I realized something uncomfortable. She had used that line before. Maybe not the exact words, but the same message. Whenever I asked for help. Whenever I mentioned things felt unfair. Whenever I wanted basic effort, consideration, or partnership. And every time I backed down. I apologized. I tried to be the easygoing one. Not this time. I didn't yell. I didn't make a scene. I didn't pack my bags dramatically. I just opened my laptop and made a list. Things in my name, accounts, access information, important contacts, spare keys. By midnight, I had scheduled a locksmith for the next morning. The earliest appointment available, cash payment. At some point, Madison rolled over and mumbled, "Love you," while half asleep. I didn't answer. Instead, I opened my notes app and typed one sentence. She offered a breakup. I accepted. Then I closed my laptop and slept on the couch for the first time in a year. It was the best sleep I had gotten in months. The next morning was quiet. Too quiet. I woke up to Madison humming in the shower like it was a normal weekday, like she hadn't casually suggested ending our 2-year relationship over a simple request, and gone to sleep expecting everything to be normal again. I stayed on the couch and listened. When she came out wrapped in a towel, she stopped when she saw me, already dressed. "You okay?" she asked. She sounded more suspicious than worried. "Yeah," I said. "Just woke up early." She shrugged and started getting ready for work. Everything looked normal. Coffee brewing. Makeup on the counter. Her talking about her day like nothing happened. She complained about a coworker and asked if I had seen her black heels. I answered politely, but kept it short. Then she said, "By the way, I might be late tonight. Don't wait up." That's when I knew she still thought she was in control. At 9:12 in the morning, she grabbed her bag and headed out. She kissed me on the cheek, quick and automatic. "Don't be grumpy later," she said. "You know how you get." I watched her leave without saying anything. The second the door closed, my phone buzzed. The locksmith was on the way. I spent the next hour moving with a calm I didn't recognize. I wasn't angry. I was focused. I collected all of her things: clothes, shoes, toiletries, makeup bags, chargers, and neatly stacked everything by the door. I didn't throw anything, I didn't break anything, I wasn't trying to hurt her. I was just done constantly making excuses for her behavior. When the locksmith arrived, he asked if this was because of a breakup. I nodded. "Good decision," he said while changing the locks. "People say things they don't mean until someone finally takes them seriously." By noon, the locks were changed. By 1 in the afternoon, I had removed Madison from every shared account: streaming services, location sharing, emergency contacts, anything that connected her to my everyday life. Then I sat back down on the couch and waited. At 6:47 p.m., my phone lit up. "Hey, I'm outside. Why isn't the key working?" I read the message once and didn't respond. She wanted to break up. I was just making sure she understood what that meant. Her reaction came almost immediately. A few minutes later, my phone started buzzing nonstop. Calls, messages, voicemails. It was like she thought enough attempts would somehow force her way back into my life. "What the hell is this?" "Ethan, answer me." Stop being dramatic. I ignored everything and let the phone go quiet. At 7:03, there was a knock on the door. Hard. Angry. Not the normal kind of knock where someone wonders if you're home. This was the kind of knock from someone who believed the door would open because it always had before. I stayed on the couch. Another knock came. Louder. "Ethan," she yelled through the door. "Open this right now." I didn't move. Then another message came through. "You think this is funny? You can't just lock me out. This is my home too." That almost made me laugh. "Almost." I finally replied with one sentence. "You said we could break up." There was silence. About 30 seconds later, the knocking started again. This time it sounded desperate. I could picture her standing in the hallway, arms crossed, angry expression on her face, already trying to figure out how this was somehow my fault. "Are you seriously doing this over dinner?" she shouted. I stood up and walked closer to the door, but I didn't open it. "No," I said, through the door. "I'm doing this because I'm tired of being disrespected." There was a pause. Then her voice changed instantly. "Ethan, come on. I didn't mean it like that. You know how I talk when I'm annoyed." I leaned against the door. "That's the problem," I said, calmly. "You say things you don't mean because you never expect anyone to actually act on them." Her tone changed again. "So what? You just decided this by yourself?" Yes, I said. Just like you did. Another long silence followed. Then she asked quietly, "You're actually breaking up with me?" "I already did," I replied. After that, she didn't knock again. I went back to the couch, turned off my phone, and for the first time in a long time, the apartment felt the way it was supposed to feel. Quiet. Peaceful. Mine. I slept through the night without anxiety or overthinking. No racing thoughts. No stress. Just real sleep. The kind I didn't realize I had been missing until I finally got it back. The next morning, I woke up to sunlight and silence. My phone showed 17 missed calls, all from Madison. There were also several texts. The tone changed with every message. "This isn't funny. You're acting insane. Open the door. We need to talk. Ethan, please." That last one was different. I still didn't answer. I made coffee, took my time, and sat at the table she had spent months treating like it belonged only to her. Around noon, my phone buzzed again. This time, it was a voicemail. I listened, mostly out of curiosity. Her voice sounded different. She sounded tired. "I didn't think you would actually do this," she said. "I was just angry. You know that. You're really going to throw everything away over something so stupid?" There it was again. Stupid. Like respect was something optional. Like being a good partner was some kind of favor. I deleted the voicemail. About an hour later, there was another knock at the door. This time, it wasn't angry. It was hesitant. I stayed where I was. "Ethan," she said softly, "I don't have anywhere to go tonight." I closed my eyes. This was never really about dinner. It was about how quickly she reached for the biggest threat whenever she didn't want to be bothered. And how confident she was that I would never actually call her bluff. "I'll get my stuff later," she added quickly. "We can cool off. Just open the door." I walked over and rested my hand against the door. "You told me we could break up," I said. "So we did." Silence. Then, barely above a whisper, she said, "I didn't think you meant it." "I did," I replied. I stepped away from the door and walked into the bedroom. Behind me, the hallway went quiet. That was the moment it became real for her. And it was the moment I knew I was completely done. The next 2 days were quiet, almost strangely quiet. I went to work, came home, cooked for myself, and slept diagonally across the bed that Madison used to take over like she owned every inch of it. I barely checked my phone. I didn't need to. Whatever messages were waiting could wait. Late on the second night, curiosity finally got the better of me. I turned my phone back on. 34 missed calls. More texts than I wanted to count. The first ones were angry and predictable. "You can't just do this. You're overreacting. Everyone thinks you're being ridiculous." Then the tone of her messages changed. "Ethan, please answer. I didn't mean it like that. I was joking. You know that." Joking. Right. Around 1:13 in the morning, the messages changed again. "I'm at Chloe's. She said I can stay. One more night. I don't know what you want from me. I can't sleep." I read them all without feeling that familiar guilt she used to bring out in me so easily. The distance between us had done something important. It had broken whatever hold that pattern had over me. At 2:06 a.m., one final message came through. "Please, I'm sorry, I'll make dinner, I'll do better, just let me come home." That one stayed on my screen longer than the others. Not because I believed it, because I recognized it. It wasn't change. It was panic. She realized the things she always depended on, the threats, the dismissiveness, the idea that I would always stay, didn't work anymore. I put my phone face down and went to sleep. The next morning, sunlight filled the room. For the first time in a long time, I woke up without that heavy feeling in my chest. No anxiety, no waiting for the next argument. Just peace. She had thrown out a breakup like it was a joke. I accepted it like an adult. And that difference changed everything. By the third day, the story started spreading differently. I knew because my phone began getting messages from people who normally stayed out of our relationship. Mutual friends. One coworker she had only met a couple of times. Even her sister. "Hey man, are you okay? Madison is really upset. She says you locked her out over a joke." A joke? That was what it had become. I didn't correct anyone. I didn't defend myself. I had spent too much time explaining my feelings to someone who only listened when it was convenient for her. I wasn't going to start trying to convince everyone else. That afternoon, there was another knock on the door. This time it wasn't angry. It was quiet and careful. I checked the peephole. It was Madison. She looked different. Her hair was tied back. She wasn't wearing makeup. She had on the hoodie that used to be mine. She looked smaller somehow. Not physically, emotionally. Like she had finally run out of confidence that everything would go back to normal. "Ethan," she said softly through the door. "Can we please talk?" I didn't open it. "I know I messed up," she continued. "I shouldn't have said that. I was tired. I didn't mean it." There it was again. I didn't mean it. "You say things you don't mean," I replied through the door, "because you never expect there to be consequences." She went quiet. "I didn't think you would take it seriously," she finally said. "That's the problem," I answered. "I did." Her voice cracked slightly. "I don't understand how you could just flip like this." I closed my eyes and leaned against the wall. "I didn't flip," I said. "I just stopped bending." Silence filled the hallway. "I'll change," she said. "I swear, I won't say things like that anymore." I believed she believed that in that moment. But I also knew the pattern. Apologies when the consequences finally arrive. Promises when comfort is threatened. Then everything goes back to normal once the crisis passes. "I'm not looking for promises," I said calmly. "I'm looking for peace." She took a shaky breath. "So that's it?" "Yes." She stood outside the door for another minute, probably waiting for me to change my mind. I didn't. Eventually, she turned around and walked away. I watched through the peephole as she disappeared down the hallway. And for the first time, I didn't feel guilty. I felt certain. After that, the apartment became quiet. Not the uncomfortable kind of silence where you're waiting for the next problem. The real kind. The kind that doesn't demand anything from you. That evening I cleaned the apartment. Not because I was nervous, because I wanted to. I threw away the half-used candles she always said created the right atmosphere. I cleared out the fridge of things I never liked but had learned to tolerate. I moved the furniture back to where I actually wanted it, instead of where her preferences had slowly pushed everything. It was strange how much space came back once she was gone. That night, I cooked myself a real dinner. Not a sandwich. Not takeout. Just something simple. I ate at the table instead of the couch. My phone was face down. The television was off. No comments. No judgment. No threat hiding behind a joke. Around midnight, my phone buzzed again. One message. "I can't believe you're really okay with this." I stared at it for a while. She still thought this was about winning, about pride, about who was right. She couldn't understand that peace could feel better than being right. I typed a response, deleted it, typed another one, then locked my phone and went to bed. For the first time since she moved in, I slept in the middle of the mattress. No staying on the edge, no preparing for a sigh, an argument, or some comment waiting for me in the morning. When I woke up, there were no new messages, That was when it finally hit her. Not the breakup, not the changed locks, not even the silence. It was the fact that I had stopped reacting. And that scared her more than any argument ever could. The begging started after the silence. 2 days later, she finally understood this wasn't a temporary fight. It was actually over. It started with missed calls at strange hours, not angry calls, hesitant ones. Calls that rang just long enough to show she had tried. Then the messages started again. This time they were slower, more spaced out. Like she was worried that saying too much would push me further away. I didn't sleep last night. I keep replaying everything. I didn't mean it like that, Ethan. There it was again. The same excuse. I read every message, but I didn't respond. That afternoon, when I came home, I found a bag sitting outside my door. It was one of mine, filled with neatly folded clothes. On top was a note written in Madison's handwriting. I thought maybe this would help. Help what? Her guilt? Her panic? I picked up the bag, brought it inside, closed the door, and placed it near the closet. I didn't feel thankful. I didn't feel angry either. I just felt disconnected, like I was looking at an old version of my life that someone was trying to bring back. That night, around midnight, my phone rang again. I didn't answer. A few seconds later, a voicemail came through. Her voice sounded different this time. Smaller. Broken. "Please," she said. "I understand now. I shouldn't have said that. I was tired, I was hungry. I didn't mean that we should break up, I just wanted you to drop it." And there it was. The truth she had never actually admitted. She never wanted to leave me. She wanted me to stop arguing. She wanted me to back down. "I didn't think you would really do it," she whispered. "I didn't think you would actually be okay without me." I listened until the end, then deleted the voicemail. I went to sleep. And while she was somewhere else, awake and trying to undo a decision she thought she controlled, I slept peacefully by myself. It has been a week now, and that matters, because a week ago, I would have been checking my phone every 5 minutes. I would have been waiting for the next mood change, the next argument, the next joke that was really a threat, the next time I had to ignore my own feelings just to keep things calm. That life is gone now. The apartment feels different. Not emptier, just quieter. A kind of quiet that doesn't demand anything from me. There's no constant tension anymore. No feeling that one wrong sentence could turn into another breakup threat. Yesterday, I ran into a mutual friend. He hesitated before saying anything. "She's having a really hard time," he finally said. I nodded. I believe him. He waited like he expected me to react a certain way. But I didn't. Because there was something I finally understood after everything ended. People who casually threaten to leave usually don't expect anyone to take them seriously. They expect fear. They expect you to apologize. They expect you to prove that you're worth staying with. When I said, "Okay," I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I didn't create some dramatic moment. I simply accepted the choice she gave me. She thought dinner was the problem. She thought changing the locks was punishment. She thought my silence was cruel. She was wrong. The real problem was the moment she started using our relationship as a weapon. The locks were just a practical step. And the silence was peace. 2 nights after she begged me to take her back, I slept 8 hours straight. No stress. No heavy feeling in my chest. Just real rest. The kind you get when your life finally feels like it belongs to you again. She used a breakup as a threat. I gave her exactly what she asked for, and I kept it. I don't regret it.